Linaria, sure she's a gamer, but how good is she as a playable character? And how can you max her out like a pro? It's David Wowee, how you going? I've got a Linaris quick guide for you, and I'm just going to take a moment to appreciate that for once, we have a character whose skills aren't as confusing as Thank you, WFS.
And big shout out to #1 Dewey fan Best Boy for his feedback on my notes, as well as Jew for sharing some of their clips.
Linaria is another Eden's latest character announced with a new ensemble where light does not fall. If you pull for her 4-star version, to upgrade her to a 5-star, you just need one detective tome which can randomly pull from Xeno domain. Bring that and the required scripts to Lady Mid at Times Forgotten Stop to upgrade her. Lina Faris's main role is to support Slash and Pierce teams while also providing some okay fire/damage herself. She's the first character to use an all-new zone. Double strike, stance, piercing, slash. It sounds like a move an anime character would scream out as a final skill, but essentially all this means is it will increase the damage dealt by slash and pierce moves. At the same time, it will decrease magic and blunt moves, so this stance is specific for slash and pierce teams. So if you want to sneak a Xianhua in there with her, forget about it. As I said earlier, to my huge relief, unlike the characters we've been getting lately, Leonardo's skill set isn't like an encyclopedia for once, but you still had to approach it with a strategy in mind. Let's look at my favorite skills of hers. The first thing is her passive. From the get-go, Lin Faratu gets this thing called Critical Guard, which pretty much decreases the damage she receives based on her luck, and you can get her at a maximum 75% damage reduction if you have her at 500 luck. To get her at 500 luck is a little crazy, and it means you'll have to build her as a tank, but her skill set doesn't really shape her out to be a tank, so I personally wouldn't try and improve her luck stats as much as other attributes, which we'll discuss soon. Now let's look at her best skills if she isn't Stellar Awaken. At first, we have Authorization, which is Linaria's key support skill. It doubles everyone's power and speed while also giving everyone Overcritical and Critical Guard. As a reminder, Overcritical gives a unit a chance to double their physical crit damage as long as their crit rate is over 100%. And you can guarantee Overcritical if you get your unit's crit rate to 1100%, which is why you'll see a number of Linaris' skills designed to increase crit rate. But like with what I said about optimizing her for luck, getting your team's crit rate to 1100% takes a lot of tweaking, and you'll pretty much need specific teams, equipment, and skill orders to do this, which could greatly limit your flexibility. So at the price of having a bit more flexibility, in my playthroughs, not getting a guaranteed overcrit is still okay, as in my experience, the extra overcrit damage appears more so than not. At least it feels like it for me anyway. And Critical Guard, as discussed, improves everyone's defense depending on their luck. So Authorization doubles everyone's power and speed, plus grants overcrit and Critical Guard. But there's more. Every sword, katana, axe, lance, and bow party member gets Link with a 400% mod. What's Link? With Link, your team gets a fire type add-on attack after each attacking move in theory, but it doesn't just stick to fire, and in fact changes to the attack type of the attacker. And the great part is all the buffs that have been applied to the character will also apply to each Link add-on attack. So for example, if you give Link to a character like Sirius and he does a piercing attack, he'll now get an extra piercing attack, and he will enjoy all the benefits of any buffs attached to him. Next, we have a skill called Safe Space, which deploys the game's all new stance, double strike stance, piercing slash, which as I mentioned before, boosts slash and pierce moves and doubles in damage if awakened. But at the same time, it weakens magic and blunt moves. If zones and stuff confuse you, don't forget to check my zone guide after this video. To sweeten the deal, Safe Space also increases everyone's physical resistance for 5 turns and gives them status and knockback immunity for 2 times. And finally, we have Linosaurus Rex's non-stellar skill, Final Slice. This can be your spam skill, as it's a 2 times XL fire slash attack that increases the closer Linty Anus is to her max MP. It also stacks this thing called Deft Strike on everyone. The more stacks you have, with max 30 stacks, the more power and crit rate you get, with a max of 120 power and 300% crit rate. So having more stacks could get you that little bit closer to a guaranteed overcritical. So if your Linarina isn't Stellar Awakened, I'd use the following skills: Authorization to set up buffs, Safe Space to activate the new zone, and Final Slice as your spam skill. How about if you Stellar Awaken her? And should you? I'll share my thoughts soon, but first, here's what you get when you activate and enhance her main stellar skills. For her passives, her stellar gauge fills faster when your team is majority light or a sword, lance, or axe, so remember that with team setups, which I'll go over soon. Next is a passive that deploys and awakens double strike stance, piercing slash at battle start, and if you use at least one slash or piercing move, you stack 10 of those death strike stances, so everyone is instantly stronger and you instantly get at least 100% extra crit rate. And finally, we have Linaria's main stellar burst skill, Automation. When enhanced, she gets HP and MP regen, which is important as she's stronger when max HP, and like the name of the skill suggests, it automates another skill, Safe Space, which activates the new zone and gives those buffs, and if used during stellar burst, instead of Safe Space, it activates a new skill, Final Protocol. This deploys double strike stance, piercing slash, and awakens it, and can awaken it multiple times per battle, and it gives it 10 times fire slash attack on all enemies, making it pretty decent. So if I were to Stellar Awaken Linaria, my skills would be number 1, Authorization to set up buffs, then Automation to activate the zone and get regen, and then finally spam with Final Slice. The big question is, should you Stellar Awaken Linaria? I would say not necessarily, because you get her main gimmick skill, Authorization, without needing to Stellar Awaken her. But Stellar Awakening her does make Linaria much more impressive faster. The instant stacks will increase the team's crit rate faster, getting you to 1100% faster. And if you're going to depend on the new piercing slash zone, being Stellar Awakened is a quicker way to awaken the zone. And the beauty is you can awaken the zone multiple times per battle, which is great for long battles. The interactive Stellar version becomes a little less important if your team isn't planning on depending on piercing slash zone. For example, if you put her in a Wind slash team with Cesta AS as your damage dealer, you may want to awaken Wind King stance instead, depending who you're fighting, of course. So in this case, having a Stellar Awakened Linaria could be disruptive, as she'll be forcing the wrong zone onto the team at battle start. Now that we've got Linaria's skills, let's make her stronger with equipment and grasta. If you plan on making Linaria DiCaprio a damage dealer, use Elpis Sword as a weapon. For armor, the Scarlet Glow Bracelet, and we've got the typical pain grasta such as Weak Point Strike Grasta or Power of Agony Pain Grasta enhanced with Bullseye, Rose with Thorns and enhanced with Awakened Zone Orbs, as well as Brute Power of Pain Grasta. If you plan to use her as a support, one approach is to increase her speed so she can apply buffs before anyone else makes a move, and also so she can stack more death strikes during another force. You could use Reforged Cruel Angel's Sword to decrease your enemy's slash resistance, or Prismatic Sword for speed. You can consider the Stamped Bracelet and Speed Badge also. As for Grasta, if you want Lyranus to be a support, you could use the Shareable Enhance if max HP Sword Grasta, the Shareable Power of Awakening Grasta, as well as the Shareable MP Restore Grasta for the Endurance, Spirit, and Luck buffs. But this is if you're supporting a sword team. If you're not, you could try Resonant Power Light if you have a light team, or find suitable Grasta that can improve your speed and strategy. If Stellar Awakened, Linda works best with Sword, Lance, Axe, and majority light teams. For free team, try Wryz, Aldo, and Kid. And for Gotch teams, you could form so many different teams with Linaria as long as the teams are majority Sword, Lance, and Axe. Just as an example, you could use Linom Nuts as the main support, with Annabelle ES as a tank, Melpifia as a healer, and Seti True Manifest as the damage dealer. And you don't need to be stubborn and stick with light characters. Another setup could be Seti True Manifest as your debuffer, Shigura ES as a further support, and Cesta AS as your main damage dealer. And finally, should you pull for Linaria? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, donate a thanks or become a super member. These videos take a lot of time and research, more time than you can imagine, so even a like for the algorithm goes a long way. Should you pull for Linanus? She's great for specific strategies where you want a slash or pierce team, especially with a skill Authorization. But as I just said, she's good for specific strategies where you want a slash or piercing team to do well. Generally, we want elemental supports, but in saying that, we have been getting a lot of new piercing and physical attack type units lately, so maybe there'll be more and more content and bosses that are more resistant to elemental attacks but less resistant to physical attacks, where units like Linaria can shine. If you just want a great support character that goes well with a bunch of elements and playstyles, there are already plenty of them. Mion for Alta, Nekoko ES, Claude ES, Yufa ES for example. If you like Linaria's character just because of who she is, of course, cool. If you're happy with your current supports, Linaria is not a must-have. If you need an elemental support like a fire support character, look elsewhere like someone at Renri Alta. But if you do want to see your slash and piercing team reach next level damage in situations that suit it, Linaria could be super useful, especially with the all new piercing slash dance and how her Stellar Awakened version can awaken it multiple times per battle. The fact that she gives overcrit to the whole team is an interesting gimmick, though realistically a bit cumbersome to get guaranteed, and Critical Guard requires a buttload of luck stat to reach full potential, but they're still interesting and useful either way, even if not maximized to their full potential. Anyway, check out my other videos, you're gonna love them.